5:30, I'll call the meeting to order. Our first item is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome everyone to tonight's school board meeting. Sarah, can you read our mission statement?
The mission of the Marshall Public School District is to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success.
Thank you. Our next item is approval of the agenda.
Second?
There's a motion by Sarah Brink and a second by Sarah Runcie to approve our agenda. Any corrections or additions? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. Out of there before we go through. There, thank you. And the agenda is approved. Our next item is student spotlight. This is a time where we recognize, that's why all of you are here, recognize a student from each building. So how this works, when you hear your name, I want you to stand so we all know who we're talking about, and we're each going to read a short bio. And then when it's over, we're all going to meet. The banner is not back there anywhere, but we'll meet back there by that way to take a picture of everybody. So, and we'll start with Sarah.
Okay, we'll start with Parkside. Murray Albright. Murray is nominated by Mrs. Peterson. She says, I am proud to nominate Murray Albright for recognition in writing. Over the past few months, he has shown tremendous growth and dedication to his writing. He consistently works to improve his letter formation and spacing, ensuring his writing is neat, legible, and thoughtfully organized. His sentences are complete and convey clear ideas, demonstrating his understanding of sentence structure and his ability to express himself with confidence. In addition to his written work, Murray enhances his stories with creative illustrations that thoughtfully connect to his writing. His pictures add detail and personality, helping readers visualize the ideas he shares. His enthusiasm for writing and illustrating makes his work a joy to read and reflects his growing pride in his accomplishments. Murray is a thoughtful and expressive young writer, and I'm excited to celebrate his progress and creativity.
From Southview Elementary, I'd like to recognize Eduardo Pablo Lopez. Eduardo, if you can stand up. Eduardo was nominated by Mrs. McKinnon. Eduardo is an amazing student. He is always showing tiger pride at Southview and is a great role model for others. He is on task and encourages others to be on task as well. If someone needs help with something, Eduardo is there to help them out. He is so kind and has a huge heart. I am so blessed to have him in my class this year. He is sweet, kind, smart, and just an amazing kid all the way around. I got goosebumps reading that. Keep up the great work, Eduardo.
And from the middle school, Mick Paulzine, nominated by Mr. Novosad and the 7th grade teachers. Mick Paulzine is truly a standout student. He consistently demonstrates positivity, respect, and a strong work ethic in both our band and choir ensembles. This afternoon, Mick shared that he didn't want to go home and just do nothing. Instead, he said he'd rather stay at school and help teachers grade papers until the football game. He's also able to carry on polite and thoughtful conversations with adults. Congratulations, Mick.
Mick, I'm afraid Mom's now making a to-do list, so you don't go home and do nothing.
All right. It's with pleasure that I get to read for Maddie Hofer, who was nominated by Mr. Schuckart. Maddie Hofer is this month's selection for Student of the Month. Her English 1 teacher, Mr. Schuckart, reports that Maddie is an excellent student, but beyond her academic excellence is her desire to learn. In English 1, she is not a student who merely concerns herself with getting good scores on assignments. Maddie strives to understand and learn from mistakes. She is a leader in the classroom and regularly both asks and responds to questions. Dr. Suker adds, in her Earth and Space Science lab groups, Maddie is a leader. She treats others with respect and makes sure all members understand the concepts before moving the lab group forward onto the next steps. In both of these classes, Maddie leads by example with her positive attitude and behavior. Thank you, Maddie. We are proud of the impact that you are making at the Marshall High School.
From the Marshall ALC, Destiny Harris, nominated by Ms. Lisi. Destiny attends the Marshall Area Learning Center and is driven to complete all her required classes and credits to graduate in May. Destiny is quiet, respectful, and asks questions about her work to complete it efficiently. She is helpful to other classmates around her in class and willing to help teachers with anything they ask of her. She aspires to finish high school and go to cosmetology school to continue her love of helping people look nice with hairstyles that fit their face and personality. Destiny lights up our school with her smile and great hairstyles. Thank you, Destiny, for being a part of our school to reach your goals in life.
Okay, if you'll all meet me back there. Take pictures, and dear parents, your people or anybody can take pictures.
All right.
Murray? Are you Murray? Congratulations. Eduardo? Congratulations. Nick? Congratulations. Maddie? Congratulations. And Destiny?
Can I just have a photo of you? Show me turn yours around. There you go. Smile.
Just say, go ahead and take whatever pictures you like. And then parents, you're welcome to stay for the whole board meeting if you like, but if you'd like to sneak out, that's fine as well.
Good job, Maddie. I'll make sure to tell Bree.
That's the first thing she pointed out. She's like, oh, that's Bree's mom. Take care. Have a good night.
Yep.
Thank you.
Our next title spotlight is our election staff. We are proud to nominate Emily Rupert, Jill Schroeder, Leanna Ginocchio, and Carla Luther for recognition by the school board in their exceptional dedication and service during the recent operating referendum. These four individuals went above and beyond their regular responsibilities to support our district staff and community. Serving as election judges, they played a critical role in ensuring the integrity and smooth operation of the voting process. Their efforts included assisting early voters with care and professionalism, managing logistics, and working tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure every detail of the election was handled efficiently and accurately. Their commitment to civic engagement and their support of our democratic process exemplifies the values we hold dear in our district. Thanks to their hard work, the referendum process was conducted with transparency, fairness, and respect for all participants. We are deeply grateful for their contribution and proud to recognize them for their outstanding service. Thank you, ladies.
So pictures with you guys as well. We have certificates here as well. Thank you for all of your work.
Somebody's gonna take a
Thank you.
picture for me.
We should have had to come up to the podium.
Behind the scenes people.
So Chris and Annika, if you're afraid you're going to present in front of a room full of people, it's getting thinner and thinner.
Yeah, we're glad we're further down.
I'll stay Chris.
you.
Thank you guys again for all your work.
Thank you.
Not staying?
Emily will stay.
All right, moving on. Our next item is our public forum. Is there anybody from the public want to approach the board? Seeing none. Move on to our presentation, our high school facts update. Welcome, ladies.
Glad to be here.
Where do you want us to stand?
Right in front of the mic.
This is our clicker.
Yep.
All right.
Just make sure it's on this side there.
There we go. Got it.
So thanks for having us. I'd like to introduce two of our two family and consumer science teachers, Chris Campion and Annika Hansen. Most of you probably know Mrs. Campion, and she's been with the high school for a while. Annika is new this year. We were able to add a second position this year. We did some reconfiguration, decreased some staff in another area last year to try to meet the demands and the desire of students to take a variety of classes within family and consumer science. So tonight, they're going to talk a little bit about course offerings that we have available. This is one of the departments in career and technical education. And then we'll also talk a little bit about a grant that we received, the department received back earlier this year, and what we've been doing with that grant at the high school level. So, Mrs.
right.
Campion and Ms. Hansen, I'll turn it over to both of you.
Yeah, thank you for letting us come. We're excited to be here. So I'm the older one, Chris Campion. Former student, former colleague. It's great. Lots of parents. That's awesome. One thing I do want to highlight about CTE in general, I think a lot of people don't really realize that we are a part of the Carl Perkins funding. So federal money comes to our district under Carl Perkins, which means we have to do program approval. Every 5 years, there's a review of our program. We work with people at the state and make sure that we are meeting all the requirements for Carl Perkins funds, which is a great thing financially for the district because 35% of our salary, our expenses are we're able to levy for that money. So it's really a financial benefit with those CTE classes. And Brian's been really good about getting all those ducks in a row too with lots of classes. So that is a great thing for us that we get to have that kind of reimbursement to the district to help fund our program. Uh-oh. Why does that, okay. Did that look right?
That's good.
We'll make it work.
I'm Annika Hansen, and again, this is my first year teaching. I graduated from South Dakota State University this past spring. I'm going to start us off with our freshman facts classes. So in years past, we've only had one freshman facts class per school year, which has been capped and filled at 35. This year with two teachers, we were lucky enough to have 3 sections of freshman facts, also filling up and capping in the 30s, which is super cool to see because we're seeing 90 to 100 freshman faces come through our program and get to know what our program is all about. So our freshman facts course introduces students to those everyday life skills that they need not only in the classroom, but outside of the classroom and to live life on their own. We also go through all of the pathway options available in the high school. So we cover content including money management, budgeting, communication and conflict resolution, child development, baking and kitchen skills, as well as kitchen and food safety, laundry and clothing care, decision-making skills, as well as health and wellness foundations.
All right. Another set of classes we have is ProStart 1 and 2. Those are foods classes. We receive our curriculum from the National Restaurant Association Educational Foundation. They really felt strongly about providing high schools with good curriculum because we have 10% of our workforce in the United States works in the food service industry. And they just felt that a lot of people were coming in without proper skills and prior knowledge for food science, culinary arts, culinology, just regular workforce skills. So we get this curriculum from them and it is fabulous. it really does focus on the restaurant and food service industry, food science. And some of our kids certainly are going to go into those fields, but everybody's going to eat every day too. So we are giving them skills for life as well as good consumer skills, because they all will be consumers of food, of the restaurant industry, whatever their careers might be. So it has been a great curriculum, always full classes, very fun, and lots of great things for kids to learn. And they're eager. They're very eager to take those classes. So we give them a good skill set there.
So moving on, we have Living on Your Own. So Living on Your Own aligns with and fulfills the newly implemented MDE personal finance graduation requirement for all students. So it's effective with this year's sophomores and all future graduating classes. So we cover content of budgeting, financial planning, credit, insurance, investing, as well as consumer awareness to cover all of the areas for that graduating requirement for all of our students.
Okay, fashion and interior design. I would say a lot of the schools around here probably have that separated, but with our more staff shortage, I've combined the two together. Reason being that it is the elements and principles of design which relate to any kind of design, graphic design, fashion, interior. So that is put together. I would say it's very introductory because we have them for 9 weeks and try to give them a taste of those careers. Up on our screen, we do have a few former students. We have lots of kids that go into these different fields, but Shelby in the middle there, she owns a business in Maple Grove, very successful business in interior design. She's awesome. Eden up there is a fashion major at Iowa State, and she received one of 20 internships in the country at Anthropologie, part of the Urban Company. And so she was in Philadelphia for the summer doing her internship. So lots of interest in lots of career options for kids. So we give them a little taste of opportunities that might be out there for careers that they might choose.
And then we have interpersonal relationships. So this class teaches relationship and interpersonal skills at the high school level, which is essential for supporting our students academically, socially, and for their future success. The relationships course is designed to help students understand themselves as well as others, communicate effectively, and build healthy connections in all areas of their life. We cover course content surrounding self-awareness, personal identity, communication skills, healthy relationships, conflict resolution, family and home dynamics, romantic relationships, digital and social media relationships, as well as decision-making and personal responsibility.
Okay, child development. So last year, we became a pilot school for the MDE to implement the new Child Development Associate certification. This is a brand new program, and it really comes from a group in Minnesota called Child Care Aware that is trying to get more people into the daycare industry to fill just that huge daycare shortage that we have in the state. So they started this program to create interest in high schools and help kids get this certification through their coursework in high school. So what they have to do is have 120 hours of classroom instruction, which would mean Child Development 1 and Child Development 2. This is the first year we've been able to have Child Development 2 as a class with a teacher. In the past, it was independent study, and it's just a little more difficult for our students to really get those concepts in independent study, but we plug through it the best we can. But now this year it's really great because we will be able to offer 2 classes. So that 120 hours comes from 2 classes. They have to do 480 hours of field experience, which is really an extensive amount of time. But we do have kids working for different daycares in the community. If they work in early childhood, come and volunteer at the elementary level, they can earn hours that way, or working with any daycare. So over a couple year period, we definitely had students that were able to fulfill those 480 hours. Once kids start doing this and really get into child development too, then we connect with Empower to Educate, which is part of Child Care Aware. The representatives meet with our students, and after you meet with them for 6 times, you get a $300 stipend. During those meetings, they help you get all your paperwork done in your portfolio done to get the CDA, because it's very rigorous. It's a lot of work for our kids. Then, when all that is finished, they get a $600 stipend, and that is to pay for the test that they have to take. After they graduate, there's so much going on here. After they graduate from high school, then they can sit for the exam. So we did have one student, the first student in the whole state to finish it, so that's kudos to her. Her daycare center did pay for her to take the test, so she came out with $900. She got her test paid for. She has a certification. She can be now a lead teacher in a daycare center, and she has those requirements to fulfill needs for lots of families in our community. So we're all kind of learning. We were kind of the guinea pig, and we worked through it, and it was really great, and it's going to provide some really wonderful things for our community and for people in the state. So that's kind of our new exciting program and change that I think is really going to be beneficial for kids.
So this past winter, the Pride in the Tiger Foundation applied and was granted the Taco Bell Foundation Community Grant. It was awarded to the FACTS program both at the middle and the high school. We were awarded $25,000, which allowed us to purchase new kitchen appliances from microwaves, ranges, refrigerators, and other equipment needed. It started arriving today, so we are super excited and grateful for that, and can't wait for our students to see it all tomorrow.
Everything there was from the original building, so
Yes,
it's
20 years.
Yeah,
time to
so
replace all those things.
that
Middle
was
school's probably
wonderful,
longer.
perfect timing for this grant, and it was much more than we expected.
Yeah.
So,
We've been fortunate to be a recipient from the Taco Bell Foundation. This was the 3rd year, and this was by far the largest. And we were able to purchase this equipment from a local store, so that money that came to us stays
Stayed
local. So that was really nice, and good to work with a vendor that we've worked with before, and so, yeah, they started delivering the equipment today, and
So when Taco Bell asks if you want to round up, it really does come back.
it does come back to
it
save the
does.
community.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, and then our last slide, just looking at the district's mission to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success. And I think that's what our FACTS programs have done from the beginning of time. That's what we do. We always have a high number of students that register. Probably for the past 20 years, we've had enough kids register to have 2 teachers. It just hasn't worked out. And this year it's really great. Our average class size is 33. Even with 2 teachers, we are plump full. We have no more room. But that's good problems. I just really feel like we're giving kids a lot of things for life. Math comes alive in our classroom. They understand fractions like, oh my gosh. Things that are relevant to their life, the financial planning, the families and child development and career awareness. But yes, we're preparing you for careers, but we're also preparing you for life. So it's just been honestly the best job in the world. And it's fun to work with these kids to teach them things that they might fall in love with and maybe choose a career from. So we're thankful to be here. If you have any questions, we will answer pretty much anything.
I got a question on the 480 hours. Is that able to be worked on during school time, or is it all after school hours?
Well, our girls that did that this past year worked after school and summer, but one girl was doing career internship. So part of her career internship hours working in the daycare and the elementary, both because she had intro to education as well, she was able to use all those hours. But our kids that work in daycares get a lot of hours in because they're needed so badly. But it's after school and in the summer. Yep. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. our next presentation, Mr. Jones with our grading results.
Yeah, so had the opportunity to take a look at how our students have done in term one, and over the years, you've seen those reports that I share with the board and with Mr. Williams, and so was pretty excited when we saw our term one results, and so I just put some information together that I shared with our staff. I shared it with Mr. Williams, and he asked if I'd come and share that with you all. So I'll just take a look, talk a little bit about how our students have done overall, all 4 grades, but then also want to talk specifically about the work that our 9th grade students have done. And then as part of that, with our staff, I wanted to take some time just to take a look at our enrollment data and maybe see how that compares. So that's what I'll share with you tonight. So this would be one of those tables of data that I've sometimes put in reports, and I share that with our staff. And so after the first 9 weeks, the end of term 1, just taking a look at how students have done in each grade level, so grade 9, 10, 11, and 12, and looking at the graduating class, but mainly looking at that bottom line and the percentage of students passing all of their classes. And one of the things that really jumped out to us that we saw for the first time in a long time, where we had all 4 grade levels above 90%. And that's been a goal of ours, sort of internally for a long time. And we hit that occasionally, but to see it, and we haven't seen that in a while. So we were pretty excited about that. Not sure, that wasn't the next slide. There was information. Okay, maybe that, I don't think that's the right order. But, okay, we'll go with it. So, taking a look, I wanted to look a little bit deeper, and I didn't share this with our staff when we had our meeting last week. We looked at some other information, but we also, at the end of, at each week, we're looking internally at the number of students who are passing all their classes, and then those students who aren't. And so what this table takes a look at, out of our approximately 900 students that we had 130 students who had at least one failing grade. And so we kind of started digging into that and trying to look at that a little bit more. One of the things we've been focusing a lot on this year and last year is looking at the chronic absenteeism, because we know that's such a strong indicator for students being successful. And so of these 130 students, we took a look at how many of them are missing more than 10% of the school days. And so we had 73 students who are chronically absent. That represented 56% of the 130. At the end of term 1, our student body, all 890 students, we had 15.8% of students who were chronically absent. So what this shows really is just that direct correlation of being in school. The more you're in school, the better chance of being successful and passing all of those grades. We also wanted to take a look at our ethnicity, because we look and say, okay, who are these students? And so we dug into this. Again, you'll see that we have 130 students. We have 890, our whole school population. So when we broke down these 130 students, again, these are the students who had at least one failing grade in one of their courses. We could see that percentage overall of how that broke down. And the number of students. So for instance, our Hispanic and Latino students, of the 130, 43 were of that. Of our white students, 41 there. Native American, Alaskan, Native, and these demographics on the left come from both the state and the federal. That's the ethnicity data that we look at. And so you can see the percentage of how that breaks down, and then the overall percentage of our school population to kind of just, when we look at data, we always talk about how important it is to benchmark it and what are we comparing that to. So as we did that, the next question was, how many of these students are English language learners? And so we can see of the 130, 37% of our students, English is not their first language. That represented 28% of students who did not pass the course. And they represent in our student body, that's 12% roughly of our students who English is not their first language. And so we could see that we had 71% of English speakers. They represented 93 of the 130 who were not passing a class. We also looked at those students who have a disability and receive some direct specialized instruction. And so similar to our last slide, we're looking at a very specific segment of our population. And we can see that 30%, they represented 30% of the 130 students as compared to our population of students with disabilities at Marshall High School is just over 15%. And then we looked at gender because we wanted to see, is this more of our males or our females? And we still have about a 10% discrepancy, more boys than girls at Marshall High School overall. But you'll notice a very big difference, about a 50% difference in that population of students who didn't pass. And there were a lot more males than females, so a pretty significant ratio there. Back to the positives. And so we had a percentage of 91% of our students, the average of all 4 grades. And so we were just curious, how does that really compare? And so since coming into the principalship at MHS back in 2005, these are some things that I've always kept track of. And so if you'll just think for a second and say, well, there's 4 terms in a year. Last year was our 20th year. That's 80. That's 80 grading terms. This year, we've had 1, so at 81 grading terms, this year ranked in the top 10. And these other the top 9 were all semester grades, so end of course. And so we were pretty excited that some of our classes just were at the halfway point, but our quarter classes had ended. So we were pretty excited that this was the first time in 81 grading terms that the term grade has broke into the top 10 with 91%. So now we'll look a little bit at our grade 9 students. And so you saw this previously, but we're just going to focus on our 9th graders. And they came in at 91.5% of all 9th grade students passing their classes. And I just want to take a moment and say that our 9th grade teachers are doing a fantastic job. But it's also the work of the pre-K through 8th grade teachers who have helped create a great foundation for our students to be successful when they get to high school. And so, while this is a high school presentation and I'm extremely proud and bragging about our high school staff, we also realize it's the preparedness that those students have and the teachers that have worked with them before we get them. So if we look at this 91% and say, how does this compare to the past? So back to this 81 terms, we can see how well our students did this year. This ranked 2nd out of 81 terms with a 91% passing rate as compared. Only time was better was back in the 2018-2019 school year at term 2, where our freshmen were at a 93%. So they did very well. And so sometimes we hear where people will say, well, how does that compare to in the past? And so I wanted to just take a moment and share with you in the past. And so this is our 25-26 enrollment as of the first day of quarter 2, which is basically the end of quarter 1. And so 890 students. And so I've highlighted just some things that I wanted to point out with our staff, just in terms of the demographic makeup of our students at a population at Marshall High School today. And you'll see a 40% minority rate. And that's something that the state is always talking about. How do we close that achievement gap? And so I went back and I looked at the one, and if I go back several slides, which I won't bore you with, but our top performing year of all grades was back in 2010, 2011. And so I went back into our records and pulled that data. Back in 2010, 2011, Marshall High School had 100 fewer students at 790. This year we're at 890. And if you look at our minority percentage, back then was 17.2%. The slide before had us at 40%. So we've seen a pretty rapid, in that decade plus 4 years, a shift in our population. And so when people say that, well, the students of today can't learn at high rates, I would say we're demonstrating and our students are demonstrating that it can be done. And I'll talk here in a bit about some things we've been able to put in place to help those students. So then I got really curious, but I went back and looked at when Marshall High School opened. So we went back to 2005 in the fall. And I thought it was interesting. When we opened, we were at 888 students, and today we're at 890 students. So nearly identical to the same size. And you can see kind of our population makeup of 12.8%. And I think it just talks to the changing diversity that we have in the city of Marshall and at Marshall High School in the last 21 years. Some things, and I just talked with our staff about that their efforts and the efforts of our students is paying off, and we're seeing some results. And so while we don't focus specifically on the results, we focus on the process, and having good process in place produces good results. And so our teachers and our students' work in the classroom is what's making a difference, and we've put some interventions in place, and we've been able to do that with the support of the school board, the financial allocation that you've been able to grant us. It's helped. And so you've heard over the years about the BAR program with our ninth graders. GST stands for Guided Study Time, and that's where during the lunchtime students are going either voluntarily or voluntold at times to go and work with those teachers. And we've had a better effort this fall, a more concentrated effort in all 4 grades to get those students going who need that extra support and extra help. And then most importantly, I think, is our teachers just being diligent about trying to create that school, that classroom connectedness, that school connectedness, which really is one of the strongest reasons why students come to school, which helps decrease that chronic absenteeism rate. And again, we know that when students are in school more often, they do better. And so just use this opportunity to just appreciate our staff and our students and the work that they're doing, and wanted to share that good news with you all tonight. Any questions that you have?
Say Brian called the other day with this information. So you've got to share this with the board too, because this is exciting. This is that work. You know, it's fun to see the data. Brian does a really nice job. His leadership at the high school is very evident with this stuff, and I just appreciate the work you're doing there, Brian.
Thank you. Our staff's doing a great job, and our students are as well. Thank you.
Since this was data from the first term, does the numbers generally get better throughout the year, or does it stay about the same?
You know, we collect this every 3 weeks, and we look at it, and what we see is sometimes we're slow starters in that first 3 weeks. So this coming Friday and Monday, we'll look at the 12-week data, and looking at it this morning, because again, we're collecting it every week. We're a little slow out of the gate these next 3 weeks, but as we get near the end, students typically improve their performance and ramp up. But at the same time, if they fall behind and that hole gets too deep, we'll have some kids who sometimes will just throw their hands up and say, well, I'm not going to be able to pass this class. It's too far gone. And so the more we can keep that, I'll call it that hole from getting too deep, the more motivated our students are to continue to do well and go and see those teachers for that extra support and help. And, We want to be able to take that top 10 and have it fall off because we have a new one that maybe ranks 4 or 5 and the rest of those slide down. So, yeah, I mean, our goal is every year, 100% of the students passing 100% of their classes. So that's what we shoot for.
Yeah, great.
So,
Thanks,
thank you.
Brian.
So when we say we have 20 failing freshmen, is that failing average or they failed at least one course?
Failed at least one course. Now, there are some who haven't got high school figured out and they might be failing 2 or 3 classes. And so we're meeting and talking through the BAR program. We're meeting as a staff with those teachers, talking about what's going on, figuring out a plan to try to help them get caught up. And that's happening every single week. And what sort of supports can we put in place, and working with the parents as well, and just trying to be more concentrated in our efforts to help those students who are failing get back on the positive side of things and passing their classes. So,
Thanks.
Thank you.
yep, thanks.
Next item is approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion by Tim and a second by Sarah Runcie to approve the consent agenda. I will call for the vote. And that is approved. Next item is an action item, approval of the bills for October of 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Sarah Runcie and a second by Tim to approve the bills. Any discussion?
Sarah Kirchner is attending the MREA conference, so she isn't able to be here this afternoon, but I don't have any other comments about this item.
All right. I will call for the vote. And the bills are approved. Next item is information, treasurer's report. Any discussion, any information? All right. Board reports, any board reports or updates?
Next week, the finance committee meets.
All right, we'll move on to administrator's report. Jeremy.
Number of things to share across the district. For my report, just want to mention with the failed referendum, the work is now beginning to finalize the $2 million in budget reductions, or nearly $2 million in reductions for the 25-26 year. This will impact about 29 staff members. A couple of those identified positions are currently vacant, so those positions will not be filled with the changes. The staff that are in positions that are identified for reduction will complete this school year, and just want to mention those reductions will impact nearly every department, including class sizes, available supports, budget allocations, transportation, and activities across the district. So we are currently working on that. That's something that the finance committee will look at next week when we meet, and just continue to keep the board and everyone informed as we move forward with those reductions. I'm going through each site. Parkside Early Childhood, they share that they celebrated the end of first quarter with a special convo recognizing outstanding attendance and Tiger Pride winners. Through the grant made possible through the Lyon Murray County Families Project Grant Initiative, they awarded a new bike to one kindergarten student, so Angel Martin Chilel, and one first grade student, Hallie Johnson. So congratulations to those two. They also share that they are also tracking chronically truant students at Parkside. They are currently at 7.5%. It's down from a few weeks ago, and a significant decrease from 13.2%, which is where they ended the year last year. So we'll continue to monitor that throughout the year, but they were excited where they are happy with where they are for right now. Darcy also shares the Parkside recently their book fair. They, as part of that event, they welcomed parents and special adults into the building for lunch on November 7th, 10th, and 11th. They had a lot of fun with special people coming in, having lunch with the kids. They had about 100 visitors each day at Parkside, so it was some busy lunch hours, but it's a certain good turnout for the book fair, and that was fun for everyone. She also wants everyone to know that Turkey Bingo is coming up, so mark your calendars, November 21st. Doors open at 5 p.m. that evening. Event is open to all ages and to the community. Turkey Valley Farms donated turkeys for the event, and businesses along with early childhood families donated items for prizes and raffle baskets. Food will be available to purchase that evening. Cost for the event is $5 for a card. It gets you for the whole evening. Bingo starts at 5:30. It's in the Parkside Cafeteria, so encourage you to come and check that out if you're looking for something to do Friday night. At Southview, Pete highlights Samantha Downing Fisher. She is in a new role at the park at Southview this year. She is the part-time instructional coach. She's also still part-time an EL teacher. He just mentioned she's doing a really great job in that role. With the transition to the new position, she's embraced the role with enthusiasm, professionalism, and a strong sense of purpose. He says Samantha has played a key role in coordinating and administrating beginning of year assessments, ensuring a smooth transition for staff and students alike. There are a lot of changes we've talked about at the board table with that, and Samantha really helped that go well at Southview. Consistently supports progress monitoring efforts, and she's been instrumental in developing a thoughtful plan for rolling out the new assessments. He says her collaboration with teachers to review class-specific data has been invaluable in driving instructional-based decisions supporting student growth. Her dedication and initiative have made her an essential part of the instructional team. So just a big thank you to Sam for her work there. At the middle school, Peggy mentions the middle school academic teams are off to an impressive start this season. Our Knowledge Bowl team launched with 4 teams of students. Of 27 teams at a recent event, our students placed 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th. So they did really well in that event. She also mentions that middle school mathletes are also doing well. 5 teams represented the middle school at the latest math competition, earning places of 4th, 6th, 12th, 13th, and 14th out of 16 teams. So they've been successful in the past and continuing that tradition this year. She also mentions on Friday the 7th, they had their first PBIS quarterly celebration. The entire student body gathered in the gym, recognizing students who demonstrated positive Tiger traits throughout the quarter, respect, responsibility, and pride. Selected students participated in a costume relay race. So you want to watch middle school kids racing across the gym to put on a Halloween costume. They had a lot of fun that day. A lot of excitement coming from the gym. It was hard for us to focus in our office with everything going on down there. The high school, Brian does mention some data in his report. Some of the things he mentioned in today's presentation as well. But it's really some great things happening there. So I'm not going to read through that again because he just covered that all with you. It's very exciting to see where we're at the end of first quarter there. In his report, he also mentions the MHS Honor Society welcomed the American Red Cross to the high school to host its annual blood drive on Tuesday, October 28th. The drive was a success with 56 high school students donating life-saving blood. For most of those students, it was their first introduction to blood donation, and statistics show that once a person donates blood once, he or she is much more likely to continue donating for years to come. He also shares that on Tuesday, November 11th, we ran an altered schedule to allow time for education and recognition of Veterans Day. Certainly that was a busy week with all the state tournaments. We wanted to make sure recognizing Veterans Day, and they had a really good event this year. The year's assembly this year featured Lieutenant Colonel Joe Arrington, who retired from the Army after 29 years of service to our country. Lieutenant Colonel Arrington is a combat wounded veteran, and his last position in the Army was the commander of the 3rd Battalion, 16th Field Artillery Regiment, 1st Cavalry Division at Fort Hood, Texas. He has deployed 9 times around the world, including Iraq, Kuwait, Germany, Bosnia, the Arctic Circle, Korea, Egypt, and Guinea, Africa. Lieutenant Colonel Arrington's decorations included the Legion of Merit, 2 Bronze Star medals, and the Purple Heart, the Presidential Unit Citation, and the Combat Action Badge. We believe Lieutenant Colonel Arrington was the highest ranking officer to speak at one of our Veterans Day events, and very grateful he was able to come and spend time with our students. It really was a meaningful event, and just an honor to have someone like that with our kids talking about his service. At the ALC this month, Dan shared a passing rate of over 75%, almost 76% in all classes in quarter 1. That's an increase of 7% over last year, so seeing some positive things at the ALC this year as well. Federal chronically absent rate is also being tracked at the ALC. That is down to 70% for quarter 1. So they're doing some special incentives and such this year, and they are seeing improvements there as well. So their numbers certainly look different from our other sites, but these are students who are traditionally struggle. They're there for that reason, so it's good to see these numbers coming down there. He also shares that with the Compass work we're doing with MDE this fall, collecting some data and such there, and what they're learning is we've got a lot of good processes in place, and just continue to dig deeper to see if there's any holes or gaps can be filled as we continue to try to work to make our ALC the best it can be. At CTI, he shares that in the small engines class, students are working at numerous small engine projects, including lawnmowers, jet skis, motorcycles, go-karts, 4-wheelers, and 3-wheelers. So small engines is something new at CTI this year. You go through the shop. It looks a little different than it has in the past. It's the small engine things that it's a new project out there, so that's fun to see. In welding, they recently wrapped up their gas metal arc welding and shielded metal arc welding. Don't ask me the difference between the two because I don't know. But that's the different types of welds that they're learning. They are now entering design phase of the individual welding projects, the manufacturing end of the course, which is the exciting part of that course. He shares a recently welcomed local expert, Brad Johns, who shared his expertise in pipe fitting basics and TIG welding on stainless steel pipe. In the medical lab, the medical term students have diving into the respiratory and digestive systems, and CNA students are mastering self-care skills, including mouth and denture care, foot care, and applying anti-embolic stockings. So good things happening at all those sites too. It continues to be a great program for us. Activities has not been quiet this fall. Been very busy. Mitch shares they had 4 state tournament send-offs this fall. Congratulations to boys and girls cross country, volleyball, football, and girls swimming for competing at state. It's really been a fun couple weeks at the high school. During these events, over 130 student athletes were able to compete on the biggest stage that the Minnesota State High School League offers. Congratulations to everyone there. He also shares that we've had 432 athletic registrations this fall season, which is up from last year, so it's exciting to see more kids involved. And he shares that over the past 3 months, we've hosted over 80 home games, and he calls out a thank you to everyone that helps make those events possible. One thing not in his report, I just want to call out too, the M Club banquet, the Hall of Fame banquet was Saturday night. It was a very nice event. Recognized 4 individuals being inducted in that. So it was a good evening, and hope to see more of those events happening. It's been a couple of years since we've done one of those. So I want to say thank you to Mitch and to Amber for putting that on and recognizing those individuals the other night. In the SPED report, Jackie shares that language arts, math, and social skills classes recently teamed up to create original pumpkin-themed treats. Students then worked in groups to create fake social media posts and TikToks about the creations. So they talked about appropriate ways to do those, and we didn't actually post any of the social media things, but talked about some appropriateness with that, all tied to the theme. They also applied math skills by estimating and designing pumpkins that then they later carved to complement the treats they had that day. Students remain key contributors in the kindness closet. They're regularly cleaning, organizing, folding, hanging, and sorting during their shifts down there. That continues to be a very successful program in the middle school. And finally, she shares Coffee Cart at the middle school has been very active, serving staff with fresh service. This fall, they've expanded their menu. They now have iced coffee creations at the middle school Coffee Cart as well. So modeling some of the things happening at the high school, and it's been a really great program for our students. Tricia shares about the Minnesota Paid Leave Act in her report this month. She shares beginning January 1st, Minnesota will launch the new Minnesota Paid Leave Program. The Job Protected Program allows employees partial wage replacement while they're on leave. Rollout represents a significant change in organizational policy and leave programs for employers across the state. It's funded through additional payroll tax that is shared by the employer and the employee. Our Marshall Public Schools and the employees will each contribute 50% of the premium. The paid leave provides 12 weeks of medical leave and 12 weeks of family leave, a maximum of 20 weeks per year. Coverage applies to all employees, which with wage replacement between 55 to 90% and capped at just over $1,400 per week. Employers were given the option to use a state program or contract with an approved private provider. We have elected to partner with Madison National Life to provide the benefit. Instead of paying 0.88% through the state plan, we will be paying 0.83%, and then that's shared between the employer and employee. So certainly a lot of work happening in our office preparing that to roll out for January 1st. She also shares the safety and security digital mapping. This is something that's grant funded, that's able to provide this for us. It says Minnesota school districts have access to digital facility maps designed to enhance emergency response and overall security. It's kind of like a Google map. You think about the cars that go around and Google map all the streets. This happens inside the building, so it can map where all the safety and security features are. There was $7 million granted through some legislative funding in 2024 to develop these maps. One-time investment, it's available until June 30th, so we are participating in that. We're working with a company called Geocom out of St. Cloud. They're creating those detailed maps of all the buildings and grounds, so inside the buildings and the grounds around. So this will map assets such as fire extinguishers, AEDs, doorways, card readers, restrooms, all that kind of stuff will be readily accessible to people once it's all complete. So that's started, and we look forward to completing that project. In finance, Sarah shares a transition from Bremer to Old National that took place October 20th. We were provided with several training opportunities to navigate the change. She shares the transition went very smoothly for the school district. Anytime a change is taking place, it could affect accounting and payroll operations. We are considering all scenarios and workarounds, ensuring staff and vendors are not affected. Overall, we've been very happy with the communication with the bank in response to questions we've had, and it's, like I say, it has gone very smoothly. We've had a payroll since the change that went well. Minnesota Association of School Business certification program. She shares that she is working through the MASBO certification program. She was recently able to attend a building and grounds and legal and personnel courses in October. Just shares she's getting a lot of knowledge specific to school finance. In teaching and learning, Beth shares a CTI advisory committee. I think, Matt, you sit on some of those as well. Those are happening. The committees consist of CTI teachers, administrators, Shanda, who is the community engagement coordinator, and industry representatives. So conversations with those industry representatives on how we can structure our programming to best meet the needs for our students going forward. It's been good. She also shares the CAPTI data at the middle school. She puts a shout out to middle school team and everything they're doing to meet the needs of students, especially at the middle school, high school. That's a bigger shift. We haven't had some of those small groups and that data driven in that way with the assessment. So it's been a big change in how they're using their blocks of the flex time and the guided learning times in middle school, and very excited about seeing how some of those things will change as we go throughout the year and meeting the student needs there. Those are our site reports for this month.
So I got a question. What determines a student is chronically absent? Is that a
Missed
percentage?
10% or more of the student year, of the school year. So how many
Okay.
days they've missed.
Just curious.
Yep. Something we track in campus.
All right. Any other questions for Jeremy? Moving on. Next item is a discussion item, the first review of the policies listed. Any questions on these?
All MSBA changes and nothing significant, no significant changes in any of these.
Okay. And we have no action items, so I will adjourn the meeting. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.